Good morning and welcome to the show. This is In Touch, and I am Beth Christy, your hostess. In Touch is our weekly half-hour public affairs show, which means that if you are a member of a nonprofit group or organization, if you are a company here in the Hudson Valley helping out a nonprofit group or organization, we want to know what is important to you, what issues are of concern to you, and at the end of the program today, I'll give you all of my contact information so that you as well can be on the program. So let me turn microphones on. Let me first say this is pre-recorded, okay? Any email addresses, Facebook pages, phone numbers, we'll have all of that for you. We'll talk about that a lot during the show. We'll do a recap. And you can also listen to this program in its entirety on the website of whatever station that you're listening to this program on today. So let me say that we are welcoming back a great organization, a great friend, Walter Joseph, the Executive Director of the Children's Home of Poughkeepsie. So, Walt, hello. It's nice to see you again. Welcome.
Welcome. It's nice to be here again.
It is nice. And Erin has not joined us before. She's here. She's like, I don't know why I signed up for this, but I'm here. Erin Caffarelli, she is a development associate also at the Children's Home of Poughkeepsie. So, Erin, thank you for being brave enough to put yourself behind the mic. It won't hurt. I promise.
Well, thank you. Good morning.
Although I have a feeling you're going to be fine. So I'm not really worried. So the Children's Home in Poughkeepsie, you guys have been on the program before. I love it when you come. We get a recap of how things are going, what's been happening the past either 6 months or a year, whatever it may be, right. How the fund is going. And also to the Children's Home, how many years is it? It's
168, I believe, as current count.
And that's one of the things that always amazes me because it truly is an organization that looks at the needs of the community as it is and where it's going and not talking about, well, this is the way we've always done it, so I guess this is the way we're always going to do it. It really is an organization that meets the needs of the day. Otherwise, you're not hanging out that long.
I was just going to say, if we did what we always used to do, we wouldn't be here anymore because It's not needed anymore.
Exactly.
But there are lots of new things going on in our community that need attention from organizations like the Children's Home.
So kind of bring us up to speed a little bit. Give it, a brief, I don't like to use the word mission statement, but you kind of get the idea.
Well, I'll give you the elevator speech for a little bit.
Okay, that works.
Okay, so for those who may not know, that we were started in 1847. In the city of Poughkeepsie, we're one of the oldest child welfare human service agencies in the country. It was started by a group of church women who met at the Mill Street Baptist Church, which is still there. And they established, after a couple of years of thinking, an organization designed to work with children and with young women. And they built their first building in 1852. Moved out of the city of Poughkeepsie in 1923 out to our site in the country, which is on Fulton Street, which really used to be the country because in reading some of the annual reports, they talk about in the winter, which we're all having great fun with this year, they couldn't even go out to the Children's Home to have their meetings, and they met somewhere in the city of Poughkeepsie because you have to imagine it was a horse-drawn sleigh that got them to the meeting.
Right. Oh, that's funny.
And then 1952,
wow. We
were an orphanage, just like you picture an orphanage with kids in uniforms and all of that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And 1937, Margaret Race came as the executive director, and she actually was the executive director for 37 years. And she began the transition of the Children's Home from an orphanage to a treatment center, which is what we are today. So we hired our first social worker in 1952 and then began treating kids with mental health and problems, which were really just emerging as an issue for children in the early 50s. And so we had all just residential. We started with about 46 kids. Now we have 8 different programs. We serve, we have an emergency program, which works with Dutchess County Department of Social Services, former Department of Social Services, now the Department of Community and Family Services. We work with them on removals when children are removed because of abuse or neglect. They will come to the Children's Home. That program started out as a 6-bed program. We're into our 4th expansion now. We're going to 33 beds.
Oh, my.
And we are working with Orange County, Ulster County, and Putnam County, and occasional Westchester, and occasional Columbia Child. And that there has been very high utilization in that program. So we're expanding that again. We have a residential program on the campus, which at one point was over 40 beds. That's now it's about 22 beds now. That program has gotten smaller because of all of the initiatives to keep kids in their families and in their communities. The regular long-term institutional foster care kids that number is down significantly. And in addition, the length of time that kids stay with us has really gotten very short in that program. It's under a year. It was really 3 years. 10 years ago, it was about a 3-year length of stay. Now it's 9 months.
Wow.
So kids are moving very rapidly because the mission is to get kids back to their families and back in their community. So we're very focused on working hard with the child and hard with the family and getting them home, back into their school, back into their community. We're being very successful.
That seems like such a short period of time. I was just going to ask you, is it appearing to be working? Is it appearing to be successful? Is there a concern? Because if there was an issue that the child has been removed from the home, 9 months is not a lot of time to fix that.
You know, it's interesting. Our internal data, and we record lots and lots of stuff. Our internal data tells us that we get a dramatic decrease in dangerous behaviors in 9 months.
Okay.
And that, but after a year in care, those numbers start to go back up. So the child who's having incidents of aggression and acting out, we see that drop off and then kind of bottom out at around 9 months. And then after about a year, it starts to pick back up. So we're shooting for a length of stay of a year. Can't always happen because the county has to sign off on it. Right. The court has to sign off on it, and sometimes the child is ahead of the parent. So the child is working harder than and moving forward. The family may not be moving forward at the same rate.
Yeah.
And those two things have to match because we would never send a child home in an unsafe situation.
Right.
So, but that's kind of good news for the system that the length of stay is shorter. We know that children really should be with their family and they should be with their friends and in their school. So the less time they spend separated, the better. Mm-hmm. So we have that. We have a maternity program, which at one point was very heavily utilized. It's actually dropping off, which we think is good as well, even though it creates a challenge for us. You know, you talked about being flexible and doing stuff.
Right.
Well, we ramped up the Young Mothers program because of a need. There was no maternity program in the Hudson Valley, and we started providing that. Very full for the first couple of years. Now we have some vacancies, and there is a decline in teen pregnancy rates nationally, and so we think it may be reflecting that. And this is also good news.
Yes, it is.
We're always in this odd piece, like when people say, how are things? And I say, we're very busy, and the businessmen say, oh, that's great. But we say, yeah, from a business perspective, but from a societal perspective, it's not so good when we're very busy.
Right.
So we think that's a good trend. If that's a trend, we would look at maybe shifting the purpose of some of those beds.
The fact that I remember the very first time you talked about the emergency, like you said, it started with what, six beds. And then every time you've come on, unfortunately, that number has had to grow.
That's right.
So you kind of feel, and not all, but you kind of feel like if there's a decrease in teen pregnancies, that may help. Like you said, business model is one thing, but society and human beings, it would be a great sign.
It's good if there are fewer children, born to a teen mom who's, with this, not a family per se. There's a family of the mom and the child, and it's very risky. I mean, the evidence is there that the ability to, poverty is going to be, much higher in this population. Unemployment. Yeah. It's not a good thing. So if those numbers are down, that's great from a societal perspective. But it means we have to see, is there something else that we could be doing? We spent part of our budget meeting today with the board talking about this. And, is that a program that we should be scaling back? We're not ready to do that yet, but it's something we're looking at to say, is there some other issue that we could be addressing with those beds?
See, that's what I mean. It is a constant. You are always, and I'm always impressed with that. You are looking at what's going on. You're looking down the road. You guys have a plan. You really do address the needs of what's going on.
Well, that was
right now,
and that was the reason, for the program to start was almost a 5-year period of the ladies who started the children's home of thinking about where they wanted to put their effort. And so the board is very thoughtful about this, and the administration, that we really are seeing what's happening. And I'll give you an example. Trafficking has become a big issue. You may be aware of this because there's a task force here in Dutchess County, and there are limited residential options for children. And it's mostly girls who have been trafficked. So we are thinking about that as a potential. We do have some youngsters who have been trafficked in our program now, and we are providing appropriate programming for them. And we're thinking about whether we shouldn't be offering something for that population. So that, that may be the next kind of thing that we're looking at. And I want to mention Dr. Crenshaw, who is our clinical director, who's been a fabulous clinical leader and is very much out there in the community, rendering his, individual help to people and on the part of the organization, really bringing us out there to see what needs to be addressed now.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Aaron, you been quiet. I saw you kind of go to talk, so let's bring you in to the conversation as the development associate. I noticed you nodding your head an awful lot when Walt was talking about, you guys had just met and the budget and you're looking at these programs and addressing everything. So time to bring you into the conversation.
Well, one of the things I was going to say was what makes a children's home unique is their ability to be flexible, like you're talking about. And that works with our group emergency program. One of the reasons why I think the numbers are a lot higher now is we are taking in a lot of sibling groups. And you have families of 3 and 4 children coming in, and we are a place that those 4 kids can come together and be together. And that's something that's been really on the forefront for Walt and Dr. Crenshaw with the children that come to the children's home, is keeping the family unit together as much as they possibly can.
So you guys have some events coming up that we want to talk about. And I want to say before we do, this show is going to air twice.
Right.
So the one event on one airing, it will be coming up. On the next airing, it will have already been passed.
It will have happened.
But there's other events coming up. So that's our disclaimer,
right.
so that everybody knows. So let's talk about the event that is on the way that's coming up, March 5th?
March 5th.
Okay.
We have an event. We're sponsoring, it's really a professional conference, although anybody in the community who's interested could come to this. And we are hosting a gentleman named James Garbarino, who is really very famous in writing about violence. And actually his book that we are going to be featuring is called Listening to Killers, Making Sense of Senseless Violence. He's been a Fox contributor. He's written a ton of really great stuff about what is going on in the minds of people who commit these terrible crimes. He's interviewed many convicted murderers to talk to them about their life. He is not an apologist for their behavior at all. He's really trying to make sense of why. And I think his words were, why does somebody choose to do this? So he does. So for someone who murders, why did that person choose to murder? But, what we're seeing is that, and everybody knows this, and it doesn't excuse it, but there are these enormous childhood trauma histories for an awful lot of these people. And, trauma has become, in the child welfare field and other places, has become the major focus of work, I believe, in looking at the trauma histories for these children who are coming into foster care and trying to do something. So Dr. Garbarino is trying to help us understand how the trauma history plays into the behaviors that are following that are so horrific. So, we've invited, and there is a fee for this, but we've invited lots of people from law enforcement, the court systems, the social service systems, the educational systems, and the general community to come and hear. I have not heard Dr. Garbarino speak. I understand he's a terrific presenter. So we're going to be at the Poughkeepsie Grand.
Okay, I was just going to ask that.
And the conference will start at 9, but registration's at 8:30. There is a general admission is $75. The student rate is $30. And people can sign up on our website, or they can call us if they want to reserve a seat.
And one of the great additions to this event is that we are offering 6 CE credits to New York State LMSWs and LCSWs. And those CEs are an additional $25 fee, and they're payable the day of the event by cash or check. Okay. But it's a great way to get those 6 credits in and hear an amazing speaker.
I have seen him. At first, I was like, the name didn't pop right away in my head. But as you were describing, when you said, he's not apologetic. He's just going and he's asking them the questions. And he's, like you said, why would someone choose to do that? I have heard him speak. I've not seen a presentation, but it was very interesting, and to listen.
Yeah, The Lost Boys is one of his books that people may know, and then and in talking about why children turn violent. So we're really looking forward to this. We are going to have this is his latest book, Listening to Killers, And we are going to be selling that book.
Okay.
It's a fundraiser for us, nice discount, and Dr. Garbarino will be signing books.
Okay.
So it should be a nice event. The Poughkeepsie Grand will do a great job as usual in hosting us. So we're very, very pleased to be there. And I understand there's 2 new elevators in the parking garage if anybody worries about the elevator. So we're just looking forward to it. It's going to be an informative, educational, and entertaining day.
Now, can folks go to your website to be able to get information and to sign up?
Yes, they can go to www.children'shome.us, and the registration information is on the website. You can also download a form to mail in a check. We are asking people to pre-register, prepay.
Yeah.
They can give us a call at 845-452-1420, extension 177. That's me, Erin, and I can take your reservation over the phone.
Nice. Okay, so that will make it easy. So if you're listening to this program, and today is Sunday, March 1st, this event is coming up this Thursday, so there is time. If you are listening to the show and it is Sunday, March 8th, don't worry. We have other goodies for you to be able to participate in. So let's go to the next. Erin, what do we have coming up later on this month?
So on March 20th, we'll be hosting our 3rd annual Open Your Heart cocktail concert. This is a fun night from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Poughkeepsie Grand Hotel. We do a cocktail party with an open bar and hors d'oeuvres. And then after about an hour and a half, we go in for a sit-down dessert and a musical performance.
Oh, nice.
And this year we're welcoming Hudson Valley native Mark Raish as our performer. He's going to do a show called Meet Me at the Copa. And you'll hear hits from Frank Sinatra, Neil Diamond, Barry Manilow.
Nice.
All kinds of things like that.
Neil Diamond, my favorite. I'm just putting my hand up on that one.
Okay.
I mean, and Dean Martin, Neil Diamond. Frank's good
Bobby
too.
Darin.
Okay, that works. Is there? I'm fine.
It's there.
I'm like picking one or two, and really, it's like, Beth, really, you're perfectly fine. That sounds really cool.
So that's our annual fundraiser.
Nice.
Tickets are $95.
Okay.
Again, you can go to our website at www.children'shome.us to make your reservation. And our event sponsor this year is Rose & Kiernan Insurance.
Nice.
And it is a fundraiser as much as a fundraiser. We don't have a silent auction where we don't put an envelope on the table. We get together for a nice evening. So it's a very, very easy event, a very short program, a little bit of, an intermission. We'll give out some information about the children's home and stuff. But basically, we want to get together in the dead of winter and kind of break things up a little bit and have some fun and listen to some good music. Yeah,
because every time you think, well, okay, that's not really true. We haven't had a chance to even think that maybe it's going to end. It's just been one week after another. So this is something to truly look forward to. Yeah. To get yourself out of the house, have some fun. I like how you said it's also a friend-raiser as well.
And it's also the day before the spring equinox, I believe.
See, there's hope all the way around. There is hope.
Exactly.
You guys are providing it.
Doesn't feel like it this morning, but we are trying.
I know, we're trying. I love that. I think that's a great idea. And again, as you mentioned, the website is children'shome.us.
Correct.
Right. So folks can go. And if you are, as I mentioned at the beginning of the program, you can listen to this show on, even if it's a Sunday morning, know that you can get all the information, go to the website at whichever station you're listening to right now, and the show will be there. And in that article, I will have links to the Facebook page, website, and all of that. So hopefully to make it easier. So, well, let me ask you this, or Erin, whoever wants to answer this question. In moving forward, I know that you guys said you had a budget meeting this morning and you're looking at trafficking. You've talked about also, Walt, that, childhood traumas is becoming a large topic right now. What do you see for the next year for the Children's Home?
We are, all of our current programs will carry forward into the next year. So that's emergency.
Okay. So maybe beyond
regular
that,
campus,
then. Okay.
Foster homes. We have a lot of a lot of residential care, and we've also we've become involved in the with the unaccompanied minors coming across from Central America. We are programming for them as well. There's good news there. I think the numbers have slowed down. I know this is a controversial issue. People, have strong feelings about the whole question of immigration. We looked at it from the perspective of young children coming into the country who needed to be served, and here was an unmet need.
Right.
That program will probably, with a little bit of luck, the guys in Washington will come to their senses and try to, come to a rational way to deal with immigration. We hope that they do.
We hope, yes.
I think we will be focusing more on trafficking and how to help those kids. We know that we're going to be looking at a big change in how our kids receive medical care, because the state of New York is redoing how it provides medical services to kids in foster care. So we know that there's going to be big changes there, which is going to involve more kids being cared for in the community under a different kind of umbrella than they do now, and more affiliations between the children's home and hospitals and other providers. So, and that's been the trend everywhere. The policies are encouraging organizations to work in very collaborative ways.
Yeah. And
there's real strength to doing that. We have some great partners. Children's Medical Group is a great partner for the children's home. They provide all of our pediatric care. All of our girls in maternity program go to the clinics at Vassar Hospital. That's where we do our deliveries at Vassar Brothers Hospital. So these are good connections. St. Francis provides psychiatric hospitalization support for us. So I think all of those relationships will be strengthened. But everybody is looking at trying to reduce cost, and that's why these initiatives are on the table. So we're hoping that quality of service will go up, and that's what everybody is saying. We want to make sure everyone gets good care, but we want to be able to do it at less cost. So that's kind of what we're looking at over the next few years. That's going to be the biggest area, I think, is how mental health and medical services are provided for children in foster care.
Wow. What is it that you need from the community? As a member of the community, you're listening to the program this morning, and you say, okay, I might be able to do the March 5th. Not sure, but I can do March 20th. And we encourage everyone to do those and to come out. The 20th event, a nice, fun night. You spent money. You've helped a great organization. You've had a nice time. But what else do you need from the community to know or to do or to act?
Well, I think spreading the word about the children's home, talking about our mission and the work that we do is really important. I mean, we might be 168 years old, but it surprises me every time somebody comes in and doesn't know who we are or how long we've been there, or it's their first time really learning about the children's home. And it's been in that spot since 1923. So that, that we need people to spread the word about the work that we're doing there. We can always use donor dollars. I mean, all the fees and things that take, that to take care of kids are not covered by the rates that we get. So we do rely on donations from the community, and we do receive a lot of help from people, volunteering to do things around our campus, gardening projects, or coming in and doing rec with our kids. We have a great relationship with Marist College and SUNY New Paltz and Dutchess Community College, sending over students and athletes to rec with our kids. It's all of those things that let the kids know that people really do care about them, and that there are good people out there that want to do good things for you.
Well, I have to say, it's been my honor. I've been able to MC the Hyde Park July 4th parade. I don't know how many years that is, but I got to tell you, the children's home, those kids, they are the most excited.
They're very excited.
I know when they're coming down the street. Even if I've had the Kansas City marching band in front of the review stand, it doesn't matter. Like, I know they're coming. There are smiles on their faces. They're enjoying the day. That there's I just think that's great. And I also think that's a great way you talk about making sure that people are aware, here's a program to be in the parades. It gives the kids a chance to experience, because who doesn't want to be in a parade?
Right.
Come on. You're not sitting on the sidelines. You're in it.
We have a great staff. Our child care staff really does get involved with the kids and really helps to psych them up about things like that. And we have an activities director, Jay McGinnis, who's been with us for almost 40 years, who really does a lot with the kids to get them, involved in things in the community, to help, put the parade effort on our part together. And, we're lucky we have good people working with us.
I just think it's great. And Walt, I remember a couple of times, I obviously don't remember which show, but you talked about the fact, and I know that the numbers in the residential program are decreasing because of change of policies and those things, but there are still kids in that program. And if you look at the fact of, if anyone has children, they have grandchildren, what it costs, what you need to get, what you need to replace.
Well,
like, my living room carpet is already looking a little, I think I need to look. So if you look at it that way, and it goes back, it speaks to what Aaron mentioned about donor dollars and fees and other things. So if you're not really sure what it is that you can do, donating just a couple of dollars here and there, a couple of dollars every month to help
which is great for people who've done that. The Children's Home is actually where it is today because of the community support. There's this great document. It's the original charter, which was written in 1852, which said that government funds would never be able to cover the full cost of taking care of these children, and so the home would always rely on the generosity of the community. And they said to donate eggs and milk and things like that. So that was the level. Now we need dollars.
Right.
Just as an example, our budget, which is now approaching $12 million, we'll probably put $800,000 of fundraised money into that.
Wow.
That's what the budget calls for. We have a deficit. We do every year, but we're able to cover it with fundraised money and some returns from our investments, which we built up over the year through prudent management. And that makes the difference between being able to do the minimum that's required and being able to do the extra things.
Right.
In this next year, we're focusing on job development with our kids. It's been an enormous challenge. The part-time jobs in the community are almost gone. The people who got minimum wage jobs before, those have become career paths for folks.
Yeah.
So finding jobs for teenagers is extremely difficult. So we've just hired an independent living skills coordinator to work on this aspect, because for our kids who age out of care, they need to become independent. We don't want them dependent. Right. And we've hired a job coach. And those two positions are partially funded out of a legacy and a grant, so that we are going to be asking local employers to hire one of our kids, but we will pay for a short period of time 100% of their cost.
Oh,
and then
wow.
after a little time, then we will pay 75, and then 50, then 25, hoping that in partnership with an employer, we can develop a good employee who can go out and get a job and not be on welfare and not be in the system. So we will be approaching. We have some employers lined up now,
which is great,
who are willing to do that. We've always had some folks who would do that. We paid the kids, and they didn't have to pay the kids anything. But we think it's better if the child gets a paycheck from an employer, and then we want to reimburse the employer. So any of you employers out there who are listening and you might be interested, you could also call the number Erin gave earlier and speak to her, and she'll hook you up with the right person. This is so important.
That's a great program. And I like what you said. It's important for them to get a paycheck from an employer because there's a sense of pride. You've done that. Nobody else. You did.
And on the employer side, there's a sense of ownership, because if you have a youngster at your place and somebody else is paying them, you may not hold them to the same standard as the employees that you are
Good
paying.
Point. Right.
So I think it's good for the employer to say, I have a stake in this as well. So I really need to make sure this child actually, this young person does work.
So the phone number is 452-1420, right?
Correct.
And your extension is 177.
Correct.
It helps. I'm thankful I write these things down.
Yes, it's very good. I'm impressed.
Okay, that's not my memory. Trust me, that is me writing it down. Believe it or not, we have 2 minutes left. So I want to kind of wrap things up in closing comments. So, Walt, some final thoughts you'd like to leave with folks this morning?
Well, I have been in this child welfare business for about 40 years now. Mm-hmm. And I think the Children's Home in Poughkeepsie is really an extraordinary organization, and the community support that we get is amazing. And so I'm very grateful to every group, Boy Scout, Girl Scout, Rotary, Lions Club. I mean, the IBM comes in, the Jewish Centers. I mean, there's an amazing array of people who care very deeply about these kids and have offered to come in and do something or donate something. But we have a lot of people who come on campus to do stuff. So I'm very thankful for that. And I think that's important for the kids they are impressed with the community when the community comes in.
Yeah.
We've got folks coming in to do parties for kids, dances. I could fill a half an hour show. And Erin knows this better than I do because she's there all the time with these groups. So I'm thankful to everybody for the support they give the children.
That's very cool. Erin, some final thoughts.
Just visit our website at www.children'shome.us and read about us. And if you want to learn more, give us a call. Come by for a visit. We give tours. We're happy to learn about you and what you can do for us and what we can do for you too. So
because having the Children's Home in Poughkeepsie helps the community all the way around. The community helps the home, but it also helps, and it helps children. And look at what is able to happen for another generation, for next generation, and meeting the needs. What you guys do, I think, is incredibly important. I'm grateful that you guys are there. So thanks for taking the time today to be here.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Thanks, guys. If you have any questions about anything we talked about today, or if you would like to be on the program, here's how you can get a hold of me. The phone number, 845-471-1500. My extension is 159. You can find me at HudsonValleyCountry.com. You can find me on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Pinterest. I'm on Instagram. I always say this, I think I'm on too many, but I'm there. You will find me, trust me. And do please find me, because we'd like to have you on the program. Take care of yourself and those you love, and we'll see you right here next week.